Welcome to the Bitcoin Treasuries Podcast, formerly known as the Hurdle Rate Podcast. I'm here with Tim Kotzman. I'm Ed Juline, and today we'll be talking to Tim about his journey on this path towards creating a media empire. Welcome, Tim.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to have you here. 160 some episodes.
But who's counting?
Who's counting? Is this what you imagined this would turn into, or
no? You
just said, "I'm bored. I'm doing a podcast," and
I don't think maybe I was bored. I don't know.
Yeah. Welcome to the Bitcoin world. It's like you ask anybody in the Bitcoin world, "What were you doing 1 year ago?" And did you think you would be here? And you can never get to that point.
I can't believe it's not even been a year yet. Are we even recording yet?
Yeah, we're recording.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm the host.
Okay, cool.
I built this empire, man.
Yeah.
I need to take some credit on this.
Yeah. So October 5th of last year was when it started, and today's August something.
Yeah.
So it hasn't even been a year. Even I know we'll get into the Unconference in New York City, September 17th. It still won't even be a year, which is wild to me.
So on October 4th, you sat down and you said to your unnamed partner, which I won't dox her, but you said, I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to do hundreds of episodes. I'm going to start a conference company. I'm going to become this face of True North. I'm going to have Bitcoin Treasury companies begging me to be on their advisory boards. And I'm going to go to Prague.
Well, she did enjoy the Prague part.
The Prague part
but
was
I don't think we knew any of it.
It wasn't on the schedule.
Yeah.
And you're going to do an interview with Fong Li, the CEO of Strategy. You haven't done your Sailor one yet, have you?
Yeah. I mean, we were
individual
on
ones.
Not the individual one.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe in the next decade or so.
I told you to hold out for that Miami invite. Yeah. That's the key. You got to get the invite to Miami, and you got to do it on the yacht. You got to do it on a boat.
I think that would be pretty cool.
That'd be pretty epic. If the boat's moving too, that would be even more epic.
Yeah.
See if you can throw down those terms and see what he says.
Yeah. See if Colin and Matt are available to just jump on a yacht with some video equipment. Colin's in. Colin's in for that one.
I think this will work. But you've been able to interview some fascinating people. You've been able to really open up the Bitcoin Treasury space to tens of listeners, tens of thousands of listeners. Sorry.
At least a dozen listeners.
12 listeners. Thank you.
I don't know if my mom even listens, but I remember last Thanksgiving, one of my nieces said, "Tim, do you have a podcast? Uncle Tim, do you have a podcast?" I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Is it about Bitcoin?" And I said, "Unfortunately."
Yeah.
I mean, but my nephew Noah is very excited about Bitcoin. He thinks it would be exciting to own a whole Bitcoin. I don't know if he's really conceptually there yet, but so there's a little bit of a division in the family about how interesting
about
Bitcoin
what it
is.
Well, you're getting close to syndication. NPR I'll be calling any day now.
What's NPR?
Exactly.
Who cares?
Yeah, we're going straight to what's Malcolm Gladwell's company, the podcast company, whatever. Yeah,
Digital Community. We're going direct with the digital conference to the masses.
You do reach a global audience. You've heard from all over the world, literally. When you get the right retweet, your Fong Li episode, 1 million plus views on X.
Yeah, we stopped counting after 1 million.
It does, doesn't it?
Well, it didn't stop counting. I just started counting.
But it doesn't go to like 2M, does it? I
don't know.
Maybe.
No, yeah. I've seen posts on X that go to 2, 3, 4, 10M. Usually it's Elon posting something, but yeah.
Yeah. So what have you learned in this year? What have you picked up on interviewing all these people, 160 people? What have you learned about people? What have you learned about this space?
I've learned. It's a great question. I've learned the power of the Bitcoin community, which I don't think I probably don't fully grasp yet. But until the podcast and then the digital conference and then announcing the Unconference, the amount of people that have just reached out and said, how can I help? How can I support? Even reaching out for co-hosts and some bigger names actually responding to a Twitter DM or an email saying, yeah, I'll be there. Yeah. It's like very humbling of how the community will rally around just moving the message forward. So I think that's the biggest takeaway.
And speaking as a long-time listener, short-time contributor, I could say that the quality of your podcasts have just gone through the roof. I go back and I've got to admit, when I decided to join you, I realized that I had probably only listened to 40 of the 160. And I'm like, when am I going to get all these? I got my 40 HPW and it's like, yeah, I'm not going to get there. But
2x speed, maybe.
Yeah. Or like Jeff Booth, he listens at 5x. And I was like, no, you don't. He goes, yeah, listen. He puts it on 5x. I was like, blah, 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 blah. Like, you understood that? He's like, it took a long time, but I trained myself. And
that's wild.
Yeah. So your podcast to him is like 12 minutes. He just knocks it out.
It's pretty bite-sized piece at that point.
Bite-sized. He gets into 700 podcasts per week, I think, or something. But no, I'm just making that up. But yeah, and the thing that I think you really bring to the space, which is really critical, is your just listening skills. You sit there and listen. A lot of the podcast hosts will run right over their guest and interrupt them and decide where it's going to go. But you kind of can.
That's where it's helpful to never have an aspiration to have a podcast, because then when you trip and fall and end up in this room, then you're just like trying to listen and learn.
Yeah. So, which is kind of funny, because when I see you with your partner, you just do all the talking. You're like, yap, 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 yap. You never let her get a word in edgewise. And then you come in here and
it's unbelievable.
A great listener. Yeah.
Night and day.
Yeah. Well, cool.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about yourself, Ed. Well, I would love to.
Yeah. Ed, tell us about your actual background before the Bitcoin jobs. People don't tell us, where did you grow up?
Well, this started about 2,500 years ago. I found out I was Neanderthal. Edit. Go to a wide screen.
A wide shot. Where's that guy when you need him to be shouting stuff?
That joke never goes well. No, anyways, you saw an article, same article that Eric Wall and David Bailey saw on Gawker in 2011. Said you can, go into the dark web and buy stuff with this internet money. And I'm the quintessential early adopter. And I said, well, I got to check that out. Bought Bitcoin and at $6 each. Couldn't figure out the dark web, and I just said, oh, whatever. And then about a year later, I needed $1,000, and I went and sold it for the same $6. I didn't know that it had gone to $39 in between. I think if I had known that, I probably would have stopped and said, what is this? I thought it was just this internet token or whatever the word was at the time for $6. Anyways, about a year later, somebody says, what is this Bitcoin thing? Oh, yeah, it's internet money. It's like $6. And it was at like 1,000. And I had this little heart attack, and I'm like, justifying with God, maybe I didn't sell it. So I go to mountgox.com and it was 404. And I'm like, oh, well, should I be happy that I got my $1,000 back, or sad that I didn't self-custody? But whatever.
And for those listening, 404 wasn't the price. That's the error.
Was gone. That was when Mt. Gox blew up and
no
it was
more
gone.
Website.
Yeah. And even if I would have still had it there, when they did this Mt. Gox reclamation, I would have only got $1,000 back, not the Bitcoin equivalent. That was how the Mt. Gox thing worked. So I was kind of lucky. I got my $1,000 back. But more importantly, I then got heavy in, and my first years were probably mostly just gambling and speculative and looking at it like a stock. Moved to Amsterdam. Well, got involved with the local Atlanta Bitcoin community, Tidwell and Mike Casey and Brandon Iglesias and guys, and saw that, hey, this is something bigger than that. Moved to Amsterdam for a couple of years, and they have 5 meetups a week. They have Bitcoin Wednesday, which was the biggest meetup in the world, 300, 400 people. You had the guy who claimed that he was Satoshi.
Which one?
No, the
main one.
Craig Wright.
Yeah.
You had Vitalik Buterin. I mean, it was crazy, the people who were coming into Amsterdam at the time. And nobody knew who they were, or we didn't even know who they were, I mean, like when Vitalik came in, it was like, who's this skinny Russian guy? It's like, oh, I'm starting Ethereum. And you're like, whatever, dude, it's not Bitcoin. And we should have all been keeping journals to be able to go back and see what we were thinking and what we were saying. But then I really got into the kind of the libertarian freedom part of it. This can change the world. I don't think the sound money concepts and the money's broken stuff was really a thing yet. It was still about, hey, we can trade money without using banks. Moved back to Atlanta, got really involved with the community there. And by 2019, I thought, well, I've been in manufacturing 25 years. I said, I'm done. And then I just made some bad decisions. I found ways to cut my stack in half by doing a restaurant and a science summer camp company and a software startup that I thought I need to diversify. and they didn't work out. And so sitting around home, my wife said, you got to get a job. And I just couldn't stand the thought of going back into manufacturing, and saw a job fell out of the sky with Bitcoin Conference for enterprise sales to bring enterprise to the Bitcoin Conference, which was wonderful. Mike Germano and John Christovich hired me. And it was just it was a difficult time because enterprise wasn't ready. I still don't know if they are ready, right? You go to a Fidelity and they say like, man, we don't want to be too closely tied to Bitcoin. It's a little toxic. And even Red Bull told me that. It's like, no, Bitcoin's toxic. I'm like, you're Red Bull. You're calling Bitcoin toxic? And
you're extreme sports.
Yeah. So we weren't really able to bring in enterprise. What you saw in Vegas of the enterprise hall was what we were trying to build. It's coming together. Had a friend, Mike Casey, who's a director of engineering at Mara, working on a sidechain project at Enduro, which is real exciting, and got to work on that for about 8 months, trying to see what is Bitcoin Layer 2 going to look like. Working with guys like Charlie Spears at Blockchain Media, and it was just really fun being in that Layer 2 space. Julian Duran, I mean, just some guys that were really fun to work with. And then Strategy called and said, we need help with our conference, and you jump at the chance, right? And I, was commuting back and forth to North Virginia, learned a lot about how they do things and what the Bitcoin strategy looks like to them, sitting next to giants. And between the commuting and wondering what is a Bitcoin company and stuff, I thought, I think I can do some bigger and different things outside of the corporate world. And I think you were the first one I called and said, hey, Tim, I'm not going to do strategy anymore. What do you want to do? And I was like, funny that you should ask. And then we talked about your ideas here for
presenting
Wide Shot, the Bitcoin Treasuries Unconference, September. You're supposed to do it together.
17th.
September 17th,
2025, New York City.
That was a TJ Miller credit right there. Hopefully he'll watch this one day. Immediately excited.
And we're obviously very in sync, right? We said it in unison, Bitcoin Treasuries, New York City Unconference, September 17th.
Yeah, that's what we meant to say. And you can find tickets on Luma. You can find the link in the show notes over here, right there. That's where the show notes
That's exactly
are.
Where it is.
Oh, if you're not watching this, then I pointed down. And real excited about it because I felt even when I was at Bitcoin Conference, I'm like looking around the room and I'm like, well, people are really getting panel fatigue, in my opinion. This is my opinion. And some people were starting to get to presentations. Saylor went to full presentations at the Prague conference and blew the roof off. And so some people do really good presentations, some not so great. But this unconference concept was stolen, borrowed.
I've been very public about that. Fred Krueger put on just an absolute gem of an event. Can you walk us through that? Santa Monica last fall. We were both in the room, but had not met each other yet.
No, I know you. I was there for the technical track, and you were there for the investment or treasury track.
The Quant Bros track.
The Quant Bros track. There were 4 sofa sets, not much bigger than this room, and 4 topics, and then every hour a different thought leader who would, get in front of the sofa set group and say, hey, this is the topic that I'm a subject matter expert on, and talk about it for 10, 15 minutes. And then somebody would ask a question, someone would interject. And after the hour was up, you move on to the next topic or the next sofa set. And I did. I thought it was going to be a disaster from my conference experience. And it turned out to be one of the best events I've ever been to in terms of signal and meeting people. So when you said we're going to do one, I said, perfect. This is going to be sweet. So that's how we're going to do it.
So we're going to do an unconference, but it's also going to have a stage and a live stream and
so
hundreds of people.
Sets, but it'll be like a political town hall or a musician acoustic set, where the stage will be in the front of the room with seats going mostly around it, and you'll have 1, 2, 3 thought leaders get on stage talking about what they're an expert on. For example, we might have Jeff Walton and Pete Rizzo talking about how Bitcoin Treasury Company KPIs or Wall Street metrics are breaking quants' brains, right? And then they'll talk about how this is all got to turn upside down. I was with Jeff and Pete in Portland on Friday, and Jeff just pulled out of his back pocket. He said, we need to start measuring NVIDIA in terms of Bitcoin. And we all just went, he's right. That's amazing.
And he's got the charts to prove it.
Oh, I'm sure he's already developed them all and already knows.
Yeah, they're already on X.
What's their MNAV in Bitcoin? It's like, oh, wait a minute. the MNAV of strategy should be 10x. It's like, of course, when you flip that kind of metric and put it in terms that nobody's seen. I mean, that's the thing I see more than anything, I think, on X is people saying Bitcoin doesn't fit into my models. I'm like, yeah, it's not supposed to.
That's the point.
It won't.
That's why we're here.
And I can't make the change. I can't make the change to this. This is not the way things are measured. You've been doing it for 30 years, and to say I got to give up on everything I learned, of course, that's difficult. That's your incentive system is to go with what you know. And to have to, I mean, it's literally like germ theory when they said, hey, you got to wash your hands, you're killing patients. And the doctor's like, I've been doing what?
Yeah. Whoopsie.
Yeah. You got germs all over your hands and you're killing patients. It's like, well, wash your hands and they won't die anymore. I think, no, that can't be true. I haven't been killing patients.
Investors like certainty. They like benchmarks and frameworks that they're familiar with that they've been using for their entire careers, I would imagine.
And this turns everything upside down. Yeah, it's a little scary for people. I mean, even you could go back to gravity and Galileo and Copernicus that said, guys, I don't think we're at the center of the universe. I think we're going around the sun. And there are people like, yeah, that's probably true. And the others are like, oh, that's not good for us. Their incentive systems are broken. So when you look at Washington and Wall Street saying, no, this is the way that we get our houses in the Hamptons and our Maseratis and stuff, and you want to do what with it? They're just going to resist. They have to. It's the way they're supposed to do it. But if you go down that path, then Bitcoin's as big a deal as gravity. It's the biggest deal as evolution. It's the biggest deal. I mean, it's not an invention. Don't let anyone ever tell you that Bitcoin's an invention. It was discovered. Sound money was discovered. And so if you got sound money as this new gravity type implication, there's going to be resistance. And it may not even be in our lifetimes that we see the full implications of that. But you can't fight truth. You can't fight gravity. If all of a sudden Earth says, you know what, I'm going around Jupiter once, then gravity doesn't work. And that's the same way sound money just doesn't care. It says, I'm Bitcoin. I don't care what you do. There's only 21 million of me. Anyways, that was a little sidetrack there.
Bitcoin custody is evolving, and OnRamp leads this change with multi-institution custody, eliminating single points of failure. Instead of one institution or complex private keys, OnRamp secures your Bitcoin in a segregated, cold storage, multi-sig vault backed by 3 independent, institutional-grade custodians. No single custodian can move funds by themselves, providing an unprecedented level of security that traditional custody solutions simply can't match. Protected by a $100 million Lloyd's of London insurance policy, all transactions are fully auditable on-chain, never rehypothecated, and executed only at your explicit direction. This means complete transparency and control over your assets at all times. Beyond custody, OnRamp delivers comprehensive Bitcoin financial services, including lending, trading, inheritance planning, IRAs, and more. OnRamp functions as your private banking partner, coordinating key holder activity, removing technical burdens, and providing a personalized, trust-minimized experience tailored to your specific wealth preservation goals. Whether you're new to Bitcoin or an experienced holder, OnRamp's approach helps secure generational wealth with unmatched security and peace of mind. Visit onrampbitcoin.com today to learn more, sign up, or book a free consultation with their team of Bitcoin custody experts. Hey guys, today's episode is brought to you by StampSeed. If you're in cold storage, you know how important it is to protect your seed phrase. That's why I recommend you head over to stampseed.com and check it out for yourself. This seed phrase storage device is one solid piece of titanium. There are no loose pieces, and you can hammer your seed phrase in letter by letter. When you go to stampseed.com, use promo code TIM15 for a 15% discount across the website. That's TIM15. Join us at the Win in Las Vegas, February 23rd through the 26th, 2026 for Bitcoin for Corporations. Use code KOTZ when you grab your tickets at strategy.com, and we'll see you there. What do you think the communication error is on why everyone hasn't already adopted Bitcoin, whether you're an individual, a corporate institution, a nation?
Because it's a whole new way of looking at money and wealth. I mean, something that's happened to me in the last year personally is that I realized I really enjoy saving now. And I would say that before it was about, save some, but I want to enjoy life and spend it. And now I look at organic milk and non-organic milk and a $2 difference. And I'm like, yeah.
You go with water?
No, I know. I'm like, kids, we're putting powdered milk on your cereal now.
Yeah.
And if you want water, that's extra.
Right.
No, I mean, it is such a change in the way that we look at money, the way we look at wealth, the way we look at how we save, why we save. I mean, I think Jeff Booth's book, Kristen Raguson's book on the end of scarcity, where they start to get into, if there's only 21 million and we all spread it out evenly, or among all of us, and nobody can create anymore, then our whole mindset's going to flip. And reading their books, Price of Tomorrow and End of Scarcity, is kind of like reading that book on the fourth dimension, when you get it for a second and then it goes away. And then you go, oh, fourth dimension, I get it. It's time, it's this. Oh crap, I lost it again. Kind of that interstellar type thing where you're like, ooh, that makes sense for a second. So getting to a point where you don't have money that can be printed, you don't have these things that just get created out of thin air, is not how we've been working. And it's the other big weakness, is that the dollar has done so well. I can't walk around New York here and tell them the sky is falling, because it's not. If I go to Buenos Aires,
it's not falling fast enough, sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, then the ones who feel their ice cube melting faster, they're the ones that get it. But you go to Buenos Aires, you go to Caracas, you go to Zimbabwe, and they're like, oh yeah, it's completely broken. I get this right away. Mm-hmm. And you go to kids and you go, which one do you want? This one where the denominator keeps getting bigger and your numerator stays the same? Or do you want this sound money where when you have it, you'll have it the rest of your life? They're like, well, duh. They're easier than somebody who's been trying to play the game for, well, in my case, 15 years. In your case, like 30.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, back on track. So yeah, I'm glad to be joining you on this adventure of creating a media events advisory company and Bitcoin Treasuries. I know the two of us are been in Bitcoin a little bit, so we're doing this for more than just the money, but wanting to see if we can't have a hand in preventing another FTX, another Celsius. Helping people see which companies may not be on the up and up, which service providers are going to treat these companies well, and helping investors not get caught up in the passion of the moment with a company that may not have all its ducks in a row.
So I guess with the disclaimer that this is not financial advice and we can't, stop people from doing whatever they're going to do, but kind of the interplay between investors, service providers, and treasury companies.
Yeah. Between all three of them. And that's who will be at this conference on September 17th. Where's my camera? September 17th at Levon in New York City. Find the link below or go to Luma and look up Bitcoin Treasuries Unconference NYC. Yeah, we're going to have a wonderful slate of thought leaders and a lot of opportunities to interact. We'll be at PubKey the night before the 16th and the night the 17th. There will probably be some other side events that pop up if you pay attention. But get your tickets now. The price of the tickets is going up faster than the price of Bitcoin. And so don't speculate. You'll end up on the short end of that stick.
The one thought I had yesterday when we were recording the Hurdle Rate podcast, which...
The Hurdle Rate or the Bitcoin Treasuries podcast?
Well, we were recording the Hurdle Rate podcast, but I said the Bitcoin Treasuries podcast. And it was a mistake, but Ben Workman just thinks I'm that good at marketing. Talking
Hurdle
about
Rate, fantastic podcast, by the way. You guys, it's like listening to Einstein and Oppenheimer, and it really is. It's crazy, but I keep telling people that. I'm like, these guys are going to be pretty famous one day. They're at the cusp of this. Anyways,
just a lot of different backgrounds, especially Matt with his fixed income background brings kind of that macro structured, a lot of different aspects at the interplay intersection. But the whole there's these buzz phrases that we hear about digital Manhattan or digital real estate, but I feel like, and of course, everyone hears things differently. If you would just say to people, oh, you don't get these Bitcoin treasury companies because they're just holding Bitcoin. But if they were holding $73 billion worth of real estate, how would you feel about it? Oh my goodness. So that'd be totally different. Well, if you study Bitcoin and come to the conclusion that it is better than real estate, there's just so many different ways to not communicate what, like, the very obvious thing to an audience. And I don't know, that just kind of struck me in particular.
Yeah, for those of us that have been in it a while, that's I get questioned all the time. How many people have you orange pilled, or how do you orange pill people? And it's like, I don't even know. I don't know if I've ever even orange pilled anyone. You can't orange pill someone. They have to orange pill themselves, right? Mm-hmm. So all you can do is provide that spark, provide that little thing where one of my best friends has been in it. I've been in this for 14 years, and he just always, he maybe owned half a Bitcoin, but he was always like, no, I'm doing fine. And I've always said that going to a conference is where you usually get orange pilled, because you can't help it, right? Yeah. There's people just throwing orange pills around, and you choke on one, right?
Yeah.
And so I said, come to Vegas. Come on, man. If nothing else, we'll go to Vegas. And he came to Vegas, and he came to the sessions, and then he was meeting all my friends in the Bitcoin space and everything. And as we were leaving the last day, he's like, I get it now. I'm really sorry, but I get it. Like, this is fantastic. The Bitcoin people are smart, and they get it. And this is the future of money. And that was his trigger. I have a neighbor that invited me over for a beer. I go over, and he's like, what do you do? I work at, Bitcoin Conference, Bitcoin Magazine. He's like, it's a Ponzi. I'm like, dude, let's just drink beers. You're my neighbor. Next time, he's like, what do you like about Bitcoin? I'm like, well, it's sound money. It's scary. Dude, seriously, I don't want to talk about this, whatever. Like the fourth time, he goes, hey, come over, just 5 minutes. I just got to ask you a question. He goes, how do I DCA 100,000 a month into Bitcoin? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you talked me into it. I'm like, dude, I intentionally did not talk to you about this. He goes, yeah, but that pissed me off so much. I went and did my own research. I watched a bunch of Tim Kotzman podcasts. No, he didn't. But he watched he watched a bunch of YouTube videos.
Yeah. And maybe Robert Breedlove.
Yeah. There may be an anonymous article out there where someone he says that, the orange pill doesn't have to be a suppository, right? It can be a lozenge. It can be a spray. It could be a Tootsie Roll Pop where you lick it and you put it away. You lick it, you put it away, and eventually you get to the center.
So you purposely tried not to orange pill him, and then he wanted to DCA $100,000 a month into Bitcoin?
It's crazy. That's my new strategy now. When somebody's like, hey, tell me about this Bitcoin thing, I look at them, I'm like, nah, you won't get it. I walk away, and then they get pissed off and research it themselves, right? I don't do that. But
reverse FOMO?
Well, yeah. And which book? Saifedean's book is in it. It's great. It's a good book for this many people, right? I just had the honor of interviewing BJ in Portland with his book, The Bullish Case for Bitcoin. People love that book. I think that's a good one. Natalie's coming out with her Bitcoin is for Everyone book this fall that I think is going to be a home run. Do not buy a copy of her book. Do not. Buy 10 copies of her book.
But not one. One's just like...
Do not buy one copy of her book. Buy 10 copies, and then take 5 of them, give them to people for Christmas, and then take the other 5 and go around in your neighborhood. I don't know if they have this in New York, and put them into those boxes.
Yeah, the little libraries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
People are perusing them and go, whoa. Bitcoin's for everyone.
Bitcoin's for everyone.
I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, Natalie's book. We're going to get it to New York Times bestseller list. I don't know how yet, but we're going to get it there. I haven't even seen a copy of it. It may just be one of those books where every page says buy Bitcoin.
Yes. Should I buy Bitcoin?
She's just screwing with all of us.
Yeah.
My book's coming out. You got to get it, and it's just going to be buy Bitcoin. But you never know how someone's going to get orange pilled. I think conferences is far and away the best way. Certain videos, we all love Michael Saylor, but there's some people that just, they watch it and they're like, yeah, I don't get him. Fine.
Yeah.
Right. I often equate it to like NFL, some people go because they love the tactics, third down. Okay. It's 4th and 2. Do you go for it? Whatever. They're watching every play. I have a friend that he goes to every college game in town, and he has never been in the stadium. He stays out in the parking lot. They listen to it on radio and they drink. And he's a fan. I have another friend, and he goes and watches the cheerleaders. He's a fan, so everybody's a fan of the NFL in their own way.
Right.
Everybody can be a fan of Bitcoin.
Some just like the 4th preferred product.
Yeah, I mean, I've been very fortunate. I went through the whole libertarian thing. I went through the ordinals art thing with Udi and Eric and Taproot Wizards. I went through the Layer 2 thing with Mara. Now the Treasury thing. I mean, I haven't been down the Alex Gladstein and CK path with, human rights and stuff yet. But, I often say I know 90% about every area of Bitcoin, right? But I'm not an expert in any one of them. But who cares? Who cares what your path is in? If you say, hey, we do a Bitcoin bowling league, what does bowling have to do with Bitcoin? Well, it's a place where other people that like sound money concepts and the freedom from the government get together, and we all like bowling. Fantastic. You're now a Bitcoin bowling league. Sure. You get your Bitcoin jerseys, or what are those called? Not jerseys, whatever bowlers wear.
Yeah, the shirts.
Yeah, there's a name for them.
It sounds fun. I like bowling, but I don't have a lot of friends that do. So
yeah. Well, we were just talking about this the other day. Yeah. The people who have now said that touching grass and red meat and no seed oils is like, well, that's a Bitcoin way of doing things. I'm like, it is? So someone who's in their basement playing World of Warcraft, they're not a Bitcoiner? No. I mean, you find what Bitcoin means to you, embrace it, but everybody's got their own path. And you go to the conferences and you see that. There's just all kinds walking around. Fantastic technical conferences, Tabcoff and OffNext. And then there's fantastic financial conferences like Pompliano's event. Nothing better than our event. That's the best one to be to.
We're going to get kicked out of the studio.
Well, I mean, Pomps is number 2.
Yeah. You were a client of the studio.
Right. You're going to Camp Satoshi? Lake Satoshi.
Camp Nakamoto.
Camp Nakamoto.
We were so close. Sorry, Jeff. Buy tickets to Camp Nakamoto.
Camp Nakamoto. Whatever.
Yeah.
That's a place for Bitcoiners to get together. And I mean, I would have to say that my friend group now around the world are Bitcoiners, I mean, the ones who are not Bitcoiner, I shamed them. I dismissed them, and I deleted them from my phone.
And that's just kind of the process?
Yeah. Yeah. I just do that. No, I'm kidding.
Do you want to talk about BitcoinTreasuries.net, or just acknowledge that the site exists, or no?
Yeah. Or we'll edit it out. No. BitcoinTreasuries.net. We're looking to work with them. NBK has had that website up and running for a while. It's a fantastic dashboard for comparing the different Bitcoin Treasury companies. They're going to build out, I think, what is going to be the premier dashboard for Bitcoin Treasury information with profile pages, et cetera. Pete Rizzo will do some of the best editorial work in Bitcoin, bar none. We'll be over on the events side, on the conference side, and this wonderful podcast, Wide Shot, in this amazing studio, right? With the flowers and the ferns. We're between 2 ferns. So that's all good. Back to individual shots. There we go.
I think that's the whole reason you wanted to do this. It's just like these different shots are kind of fun. Can you talk
I'm
about...
waiting for John Hamm to come in and look for his keys, but that's a between 2 ferns reference.
Can you talk about different personality types and what personality type kind of fits a lot of Bitcoiners in your experience, and anything else around the name tags for the conference, just that whole experience, or anything you want to share?
On our next episode. No, this is something I've done some work on, because I got frustrated that when I was trying to sell to enterprise, it was like, no, well, you got to be a maxi or nothing. And I'm like, no, that's not the way it works. There were a lot of people coming to the Bitcoin conference under their Gmail or Yahoo or something, and you're like, hey, they're from JP Morgan, or they're from AT&T, or they're from Nike. And it's like, these are corporate people that aren't maxis. They have their own way of looking at it. And so I put together kind of a Bitcoin persona profile of like 9 different personality types, and there's a maxi, there's a hodler, there's a techie, there's a degenerate, there's these different personality types, and said, which one are you? So you take this test, and I come out as a techie, advocate, maxi, I think were the 3 that were my 1, 2, 3. Go over to this person, and they're a degen, hodler, whatever, and it's like, okay, everybody's got their own personality. And then there's a guy who I'm going to apologize, I can't remember your name right now, that works for Swan, that he has looked into the Myers-Briggs personality types and found that people that have that NT in the middle of their Myers-Briggs type account for, I think, 60% of all Bitcoiners, whereas the general population is 3%. And it's like, yeah, there's something there.
And what is NT? Is it analytical or is it something?
Analytical, usually INT, which is introvert NT. And
you've got a bunch of introverted, analytical people just showing up to Bitcoin conferences.
It's Big Bang Theory, man.
Yeah.
It's the crew from Big Bang Theory. It's like those are your early adopters.
Mm-hmm.
Those are your early adopters. Those are the ones that look at the tech and say, this is something that makes sense to me. There's a whole nother angle on that you hear people in today's society, not to get political, but they'll say them and us and them and us. And they really gravitate to Bitcoin because there is no them and us. There's just code. There's just code. And they go, well, there is no them. There's no, I'm not going to do any names. There's no this guy to blame or that woman to blame or, somebody we can put our finger on and say, well, her or him, it's just the code. And so as long as the code does what it does, there's no they or us until there's a Sam Bankman-Fried or a Mashinsky or somebody and they go, oh, them. They're the ones that screwed this up. But you come back to Bitcoin and the code and Bitcoin doesn't care. Just keeps making blocks. And that really appeals to them to say, some person, some cabal, some entity is controlling my life. No, the code and the math is controlling my life and I'm good with that. And so more NTs. So yeah, something I'm kind of working on the side is looking at that in terms of what is a Bitcoin personality and how do you get the early majority on board? Right? How do you appeal to them? Because most people won't care. Most people are just going to be like, oh, it's money, and it doesn't. The ice cube doesn't melt, and I'll have more later, or I'll have the same amount later, and it's not being devalued.
It doesn't sound as enticing when you just say you'll have the same amount later, because people are always used to a number going up, which we could get.
Yeah, Bitcoiners can put their foot in their mouth many different ways, right? Of saying, well, that's not what I meant. You got to find that thing that triggers people that they go, oh yeah, that is a problem for me.
Is number go up the marketing department for Bitcoin, or is any of this regulatory clarity, like if they would really adopt through legislation, it's law now sort of thing with, for example, what Saylor has put forth, like digital commodity, digital security. If it's a meme token or a collectible token, then people, at least from a regulatory standpoint, would understand, oh, this is a collectible. It's not supposed to be money, or it's not supposed to be a security. Would that clear it up, or is it really just the only way to get people's attention or the majority of people's attention is through the number go up sort of tech?
Remember when I told you there's like different areas of Bitcoin I know, and there's some that I haven't really. Yeah, the policy regulatory part is somewhere I just said I'll let the guys in DC, I'll let Grant and David kind of handle that part of it. Mm-hmm. One angle that I've really kind of taken lately, though, is it isn't number go up. There is no number go up in Bitcoin. If you have 5 Bitcoin, you have 5 Bitcoin. End of story. Mm-hmm. And so I say this is just about the dollar going down or the peso going down. It's a very easy. I met someone from Peru, and theirs is the Sole. I think it's the Sole is their currency. Put it in the comments if you know what it is. And I said, okay, that's your currency. Why don't you sell all of those and buy Argentinian pesos? Like, hell no, I'd never do that. Good. Step 1. Step 2. Wouldn't you rather be in dollars than the Peruvian currency? It's like, yeah, I'd really rather be in dollars. Great. Step 2, it's like, got these hierarchies. Mm-hmm. Well, Bitcoin just sits above that. Why would you be in dollars? I mean, this is the DCA argument. Why would you DCA into Bitcoin? Makes no sense at all. If you had all Bitcoin, would you sell your Bitcoin to then DCA back in? No. Then why would you DCA in the first place? That wasn't my thought. If somebody else had that thought about, no, if you have money, you buy Bitcoin, and whatever price you get because DCAing on an asset that is continually appreciating in dollar value, it just makes sense. This is not financial advice. But I appreciate you letting me come on and vent all these thoughts that I've had for 14 years that I've never had the chance to put into a forum. This podcast will probably get me canceled, but there'll be something in here I said that'll get me canceled.
I think so far so good.
Yeah. Okay. I also identify as a suit coiner. You can't really
is that what it says?
I know. It's what she developed for PodConf was suit coiner. So go to PodConf, buy your suit coiner. Yeah, suit coiner was kind of the first tag. besides Maxi, besides Techie, that I kind of said, yeah, I wear a suit. I'm from corporate world. I've worked in corporations and businesses and stuff, and wearing a suit and bringing it to business is what I do. And it's so funny. And when I was going to meetups before, and I was like, hey, here's this older guy, and what is he doing here? Somebody that's coming from the corporate world. It was unusual. And I was like, yeah, because that's what we are in this area. There's a lot more suit coiners now, even ones that wear goofy orange ties.
I've heard they're out there somewhere. How do you filter through X, and like how much are you on LinkedIn or anything else, or is that like an afterthought?
Yeah, it depends on the job too. Like when I was working on the sidechain project for Mara, it was a lot more LinkedIn because we were looking at the real world tokenization area, and that's all on LinkedIn. When I was at Bitcoin Conference and we were trying to go enterprise, it was a lot more LinkedIn because we were trying to bring in. We would go into Sales Navigator and search for Fortune 500 that ever mention or like something that says Bitcoin. And we'd find these people just scattered. There's one of the big banks here in town that I found out they have an internal chat group called Bits and Bytes, I think. And it's all of the 500 Bitcoiners within this massive company that are in different departments.
Oh, wow.
But they all have this love for Bitcoin. But that unnamed financial services institution is publicly, well, they were a year ago, they're publicly, no Bitcoin, we don't do Bitcoin, you can't talk about Bitcoin, but within the company, here's 500 people. So I send them all free tickets and say, come to the Bitcoin conference, be who you're supposed to be. Because if you find these 500 people within the company that are Bitcoiners, they eventually trickle to the top. And then you get a Robbie Mitchnick. And then a Robbie Mitchnick gets the ear of Larry Fink, and voila. Because you're not going to get a CEO that's going to sit down, the Bukele's of like, hey, let me meet Jack Mallers in an abandoned warehouse in the middle of El Salvador and get orange billed. That's not going to happen with a Fortune 500 company. It's too much career risk. They can't, they're looking at their company and their bonus structure and they're like, why? Saylor was a unique case because he owned 51% plus of the company. And he said, I'm going to do with this what I think is best for our shareholders. It's going to be extremely risky, but I believe it. Go through the Fortune 500 and that doesn't exist. CEOs who have some huevos and own 51%. So find those people below so that it trickles up, and you've got this wave of support underneath. And then when it comes up in a meeting, the assistant treasurer says, Bitcoin fixes this, and then you go, okay, you got 5 minutes, right? And then the human resources person goes, yeah, I'm on board with him. And then all of a sudden, you've got this support so that they go, shoot, how are we going to tell this to the board? Right? Our company's a zombie company. Our ice cube is melting. Our treasury is depleting. How are we going to get out of this? And somebody's going to come up with the Bitcoin idea, and then you're going to get another Fortune 500 company and another one and another one and another one. Apple is a T-bill company. McDonald's is a real estate company. Strategy is a Bitcoin company. Treasury company. Sorry, I should have said T-bill treasury company. Real estate treasury company.
Bitcoin Treasury Company.
Bitcoin Treasury Company.
This episode is brought to you by Arch Lending, the premier provider of crypto-backed loans designed for both individual and institutional investors. At Arch, your digital assets work for you without selling them. Arch offers flexible loan options tailored to your needs. Backed by industry leaders like Morgan Creek Digital, Castle Island Ventures, and Galaxy Ventures, Arch Lending is setting a new standard in crypto-backed lending. Are you ready to unlock the potential of your crypto assets? Visit archlending.com to learn more and configure your loan today. Are you looking for comprehensive analytics on corporate Bitcoin adoption? Strategy Tracker delivers real-time insights into how companies are executing their Bitcoin strategies completely free. Monitor NAV premiums, cost basis performance, and track how corporate Bitcoin treasuries perform against the market. Upgrade to premium for just $3.99 a month and unlock exclusive benefits like detailed market rankings, real-time trading volume analysis, and advanced performance metrics for corporations embracing Bitcoin. Apply code KOTZ at checkout for 100% off your first month of premium. Strategy Tracker is your essential tool For measuring the effectiveness of corporate Bitcoin strategies, visit strategytracker.com and gain the analytical edge in understanding the Bitcoin Treasury phenomenon. Is there a point at which the dam breaks, or is it like people think the dam's going to break, but it's more so the Mag 7 one by one putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet, but it's such a small amount that it's like kind of like get off our back, leave us alone. And then so it's kind of a nothing burger, if that makes sense.
Who's the quote? The guy that invented the cell phone or whatever that said like, it took a lot longer than I thought, but it happened much bigger than I thought. You know what I'm saying? I can't remember the exact quote, but it was something along those lines of like, he's like, oh, this is taking forever. But then once it did, it was like, holy crap, everyone's got a smartphone. And it's going to be the same thing. We don't notice those small changes. The dam breaking stuff. I mean, what was a dam breaking technology? I mean, iPhones and iPads it was quick, but it still wasn't the whole world all at once. It's just all of a sudden you look around. But I joke about Bitcoin. It's like, you don't have to go into a coma for that long to miss a lot. You know, going back to your question about X, it's like, yeah, I dread it. It's like, I'm sitting there going like, I got to keep up. I got to keep up with what's going on. I got to see what people are saying. But if you really just turn it off for, I think, a month or two, I think you'd be lost. You'd really just be like, okay, what the hell are they talking about? What is this? What's this technology? Who's this company? Who's this person? You know, that all of a sudden has got, 50,000, 100,000 followers. Yeah. Where do you think it's going? What do you think about the dam? Remember, I'm interviewing you. Where did we go off track here?
It's going higher, Jeff.
No,
I mean, Ed.
Bitcoin's not going higher. The dollar's going lower.
The dollar's going lower. What's your take on the True North phenomenon?
I have a friend.
What happened?
Another friend from 14 years that has laughed at it the whole time. And he'll like, hey, your Bitcoin's doing good. Let me check. Damn it. Mine's not. I got the same number of Bitcoin I had yesterday and the day before and a month ago. Right? And so getting people to think about that in terms of like, no, the dollar's going down is a very critical part of this. They have to understand that the dollar is melting and collapsing, and then the denominator, as Mr. Baumgar states in a lot of his work, is Joel Baumgar. He does a fantastic presentation on the denominator and the numerator, because people know how spreadsheets work. And he shows like, here, you have 100 of 1,000. You can get 10% of all the things. Now the government prints more. Now there's 2,000. Now you can only get 5% of all the things. And then he shows this over time with a Big Mac, with a can of soup. And it's like, yeah, your buying power just keeps going down and down. And then he shows real wages. It's like the numerator is not moving. And we think we're living a better life, but are we? So anyways, I don't like the number go up or we're going up, because then you're still framing it in the terms of dollars when it has to be numerator, denominator. And once you realize that denominator is exploding is when you get Bitcoin. Sorry, had to do that.
Right.
Where do you think we're going? Where do you think it's going, Tim? What you've done 160 of these podcasts, interviewed all these Bitcoin Treasury people. Think the dam's going to break, or who are we going to get? Delta, McDonald? Oh, not investment advice. I mean, what's going to happen? All of a sudden, one big company is going to say $500 billion into Bitcoin, or?
I think it'll be the unlikely suspects, meaning strategy is still an unlikely suspect for, I think, what they can do, and might be some version of what they've very publicly said they intend to do. But I think it's still lost on even some people that are paying close attention as to how that could really move a little bit, and then all at once. I did want to get your thoughts on different podcasts. If you have any favies, different phenomenons like True North or any other kind of thoughts as we close out here.
The one that I listen to religiously is the Hurdle Rate podcast. And then when I have time, I listen to yours.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Hurdle Rates first and then Bitcoin Treasuries.
No, I listen to Natalie's. I listen to Bitcoin Season 2 with those guys. Those are my faves, but I mean, everybody's got their favorites. And then, of course, Darknet Diaries. If you are worried at all about your Bitcoin and your security, and your Darknet Diaries with Jack Reiser is the best podcast out there. He's a great storyteller. He does every episode is a different something that's happened on the web, some calling to, try and scam you out of money, or some online hacker or whatever. And so by listening to that podcast every single episode, you become acutely attuned to what could happen. And the next time you're on your phone and you get that funny email, something new has come into your, like, oh, wait a minute. I remember hearing something about this. So that's one of my favorite non-Bitcoin podcasts. But he's done a lot of episodes about Bitcoin as well, because it seems like every single one of these scammers that ends up with something about Bitcoin. And then Malcolm Gladwell is just, he's a great storyteller as well. But those are kind of my favorites. But there's never enough time for all the podcasts.
Where's Bitcoin Treasuries going? Events, media, advisory, whatever those words are.
Yeah. God, if we knew that, man, we could build this empire today, right? Companies, I was going to say something a minute ago that, when Bitcoin hit 10,000, I just know that I could not have imagined 100,000, right? When we got to 29,000, I was like, no, there's no way. And then the other cycle, 69,000, and you're just like, nah, there's no way we're going to get back every 4 years. And so when people now are saying 300 and 400 and 1 million and 4 million, deep down, I know it because I know the dollar's going down, but it's just so hard to imagine. It's so hard to imagine that we've come on to something that we know is going to happen, a truth, right? It's like finding out about gravity and going, ta-da, this is going to happen. But understanding the implications down the road is just hard as a human, I think, to get your head around the impact of such a groundswell. You get on the subway here and just every single person is on their phone doing something. I don't even know what they did before. Do people talk to each other in the subway? Probably not.
They're not usually positive interactions.
Yeah.
but
maybe a newspaper, maybe just staring, or whatever. But every single person looking into the little device. And so could you have pictured that? Yeah. I mean, Elon talks about this colony on Mars and we're all like, come on, how? And then once it's there, you're going to be like, oh yeah, well.
Yeah, makes sense.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's with all technologies. I think even if an Airbus 380 flew over Kitty Hawk 5 minutes after the Wright brothers, the Wright brothers are like, hey, we did this, we flew. And the Airbus 380 goes over, they'd be like, yeah, well.
It was bound to happen at some point.
I don't know how that's working and how they built that. And how they serve drinks?
Yeah.
Wow. But
time travel.
I know, exactly. But it was all possible, right? And so I think when we think about Bitcoin at $1 million or 7 billion Argentinian pesos, it's like, yeah, well, we knew that was coming. Now, how's it going to affect people in day-to-day life and investors and the real estate market and the gold market? Nobody's thinking about that. I don't think, Jeff Booth is and Christian Ragusan and these people are thinking about like, hey, do you realize what the world's going to look like when there's sound money? And they start to talk about it and people go, no, I just want to talk about number go up. Because that's what we're thinking about right now, right? But it'll happen. So Bitcoin Treasuries, it's unavoidable. The companies that do it go, wait, why do I have T-bills? Or why do I have dollars in my bank account? Or why do I do any of this? And then it becomes viral. And it's just like, there's no other way to do this. I mean, I have a hard time understanding how Strategy, Semler Scientific, Metaplanet are going to be 3 of the biggest companies in the world. But I mean, you could have said the same thing about Bill Gates and Microsoft when he was making this code and an HP making a printer in a garage. And it was like, okay, the tides change, things shift. And now you've got new captains of industry. And these are the people that are the Fortune 100. Well, Tim, thank you very much for the time and effort you've put into this thankless journey of putting all these podcasts together. Hopefully it'll start to pay off in terms of the conferences that we're going to put together and advisory to treasury companies, service providers. And
so maybe some investors will even show up.
No, there's going to be a lot of investors there, and they all look different. None of them look like an investor, which is the crazy part.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's one of the fun things about a Bitcoin conference is when I was in manufacturing, you go to your conference and you'd be like, oh, that guy's the CEO of that company, or this guy's the president, or that's the head of sales, and you knew where everybody fell in the pecking order, right? Now a low-level engineer or whatever. You go to a Bitcoin conference and you just have no idea. Usually the ones that are the loudest with the flashiest, and it's like, oh, what do you have? Like half a coin? Cool, man. And then that guy over there is like, I think he has 10,000 Bitcoin. It's like, you don't know, which is really leveling. It levels because you treat everybody with respect. You treat everybody like, well, I don't know. And it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter how much you have because we're all being frugal and saving and, knowing this is the future of money. That part's kind of exciting. But you've been able to really build this this following and do a fantastic job of interviewing people and getting the information out there about the treasury companies, not investment advice. And I love doing that now. And I've been on the other end of the podcast from it and enjoyed it all the way. If you aren't listening to Bitcoin Treasuries Podcast on Fountain, I would suggest you download the Fountain app, connect your Satoshi wallet, and listen to it there because he gets more money per episode than those other evil empires of podcast distribution, which will remain unnamed.
Fountain app is it's a really cool concept.
Yeah, Fountain app is a much better way to listen to podcasts. The content creators get paid a lot better. So I highly recommend that. And go to Luma right now, buy your ticket for the Bitcoin Treasuries Unconference New York City, or is it NYC Unconference? I think we did Unconference NYC.
NYC, September 17th.
September 17th. We'll see you there. It's going to be something that you've never seen before. If you are way, way, way far away overseas, it will be live streamed, but this is going to be an event you want to be at in person. It's going to be one of those events where you literally are going to want to say, I was there in person. There'll be lots of photo opportunities with guys in orange ties. And lots of clickbait stuff for X and Facebook and MySpace. And we look forward to seeing you there. And
maybe we can get Tom from MySpace to show up. That'd be cool.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's everybody's friend.
If Ryan from GameStop, if you're listening, we'll do anything. We will
we'll do absolutely anything.
We will
for what?
Set up,
anything for what?
We will set up a pop-up GameStop store in the lobby where you can sell used video games, Pokemon cards, plushies. If you would come to our conference and talk about GameStop's Bitcoin journey, Ryan, please come. Sailor wants to talk to you, I think.
Not actual or financial advice.
Not actual truth or reality, but would love to have you. And there will be some other non-Bitcoin known celebrities there that we're working on. It's going to be a fantastic event. Get your ticket. Get to New York. And keep up the good work on the podcast. We're going to have new guests probably every week, that people we hadn't heard of, or people that have a new story to tell on how they're doing it from other countries and other walks of life that have been passionate about Bitcoin, that now found a way to maybe save their company or transform their company into something new. And these podcasts are only going to get more and more interesting as you keep doing them. So thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Thanks for joining us.
And cut. Oh, that's how Tim always ends his episodes. So.
No, it ends right before Colin says clear.
Okay.
But the audience doesn't know that. They don't see that side of it.
They don't see that part?
Yeah. Maybe, yeah. You just have to come experience it for yourself.
So we just sit here and stare at each other uncomfortably?
Yeah. Like this is pretty much the end.
When does he say clear?